And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Go ahead and say it, Ed. Go Tigers!
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
You like that? You like that?
F it. Jamar's down there somewhere.
In the room, saying select Marcus Davenport.
No!
Splash Brothers. Yeah.
It's playoff. Keep going, Brace.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
What's up, guys? This is Josh for Dirty Boot Sports for our Chasing the Trophy Fantasy Football podcast. This week, we're going to recap Week 9 with our studs, and overachievers. So, let's get started. We're going to start with quarterbacks. Justin Fields. Man, he looked like a superstar out there this past week. He threw 3 passing touchdowns on 123 yards passing. But where he really shined was in the running game. Man, 15 carries for 178 yards and a touchdown. He set the single regular season record with 178 yards. That is crazy on just 15 carries. Another note, Colin Kaepernick has the all-time record. He had 181 yards in a playoff game in 2013. He was my quarterback start last week that I said on the podcast, and luckily I was able to pick him up last week. So I have him in a league. I'm sure he's the number one pickup this week if he's available in your leagues, but he's probably gone by now. He has a really good schedule going forward. He gets Detroit this week, then Atlanta. So he's got a favorable schedule. He's a top 10 quarterback right now. I think he's like the number one quarterback since week 6. He's got better every week. In the league that I picked him up in, I was kind of weak at quarterback. He'll be the guy I go with probably for the rest of the year. So, hey, good for him and good for the guys that took a shot and picked him up, because he looks like he could be really good for you going forward. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes. He keeps doing it every week. Had a big game, 446 yards and a touchdown. And he also had 6 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. So 2 total touchdowns, 446. That's a crazy game. And if Josh Allen misses time with his elbow, he might be in line for another MVP this year. Josh Allen, who's number 3, he's probably leading it right now, but he's got an elbow issue going on right now. He's day-to-day. His status for Week 10 is up in the air. Knowing him, he's going to play if he can. And, he's got to be the favorite right now for MVP of the NFL and probably fantasy. He's had a great year in fantasy this year. I hope this doesn't mess it up for him. And the team. The team's got Super Bowl aspirations. So, I hate that for Buffalo, and I hate that for Allen. Hopefully it will not be anything that will keep him out or change his game up. He had 202 yards and 2 touchdowns and 86 rushing yards with 2 touchdowns. So he had 4 total touchdowns. Just every week you can count on this guy. Also, Tua, number 4, he had 302 yards and 3 touchdowns. As long as these 2 wide receivers he has stays healthy, he's going to continue to put these numbers up. He was another good pickup. I picked him up in a league after a couple of weeks of the season, and I've been riding him as my quarterback in that league. He's been playing really well lately. And number 5, Geno Smith. He just keeps playing at a high level. his Seahawks is poised to make the playoffs. They got a 6-3 record. A lot of that's because of him, and got to give some credit to Coach Pete Carroll. He continues to be a great coach in NFL. Geno had 275 yards and 2 touchdowns. I really don't have no overachievers this week. I mean, but I will say through this year, Geno is the overachiever of the year at quarterback. He is definitely what you call an overachiever. He's the number 8 quarterback on the year, so I'm not going to have no individual week overachiever this week, but I will give a shout-out to him as the overachiever of the year so far. And duds, number 1, got to be P.J. Walker. 9 yards, 2 interceptions. He was negative 2 points in our league. Coming off back-to-back pretty good performances. The former XFL QB lays a freaking dud this week. He was so bad, he got replaced by Baker Mayfield, who had a pretty solid game with 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Panthers have already came out and said that Walker will be starting on Thursday night. So they're going to stick with Walker, but I'm pretty sure he'll be on a short leash. If anything like this happens, he won't be in there long. Number 2, another really bad performance. Sam Ehlinger couldn't get nothing going. 103 yardage with 1 interception. He struggled so bad in week 9 that the coach got fired. Frank Reich, he was replaced by new head coach Jeff Saturday. Saturday's already come out and said that Ehlinger will start the game against Las Vegas this week. So, yeah, he's going to stick with Ehlinger. I guess they're going to go with the young guy and just see. I guess they're playing for the future. This team could not get anything going on offense this past week much. So we'll see if Saturday can make an improvement in this team. Number 3, Malik Willis. He got to start with Tannehill going down. He didn't do much. 80 yards passing, 40 yards rushing. I don't think Tannehill has to worry much about being replaced by him. He got his chance and really didn't show much. Number 4, Marcus Mariota, 129 yards, 0 touchdowns. They're just going to be a run-first, run most of the time team. So he's not going to do much probably in the passing game. And I'm going to also mention Aaron Rodgers, even though his points weren't as bad as some of these. But, man, he's been bad this year. He had 3 interceptions, got beat by the Detroit Lions. I mean, I'm sure if you've got Rodgers, you've probably already dropped him, replaced him with somebody. He's the number 23 quarterback on the year. I mean, you never expect this from Rodgers. You just think, oh, he'll come bounce back this week and show us. He hasn't. And he's just you can't start him right now. I guess we'll go over to running backs. Big week for running backs this week. We're going to start with Joe Mixon. Had one of the greatest weeks of any fantasy football player ever. And he barely played any in the second half. He scored almost everything in the first half. I think he had 5 touchdowns, all but 1 touchdown, I think, was in the first half, if I ain't mistaken. And a little side note, Jamal Charles had the most points in a game on December 15th, 2013. He had 215 yards with 1 touchdown on the ground and 195 yards with 4 receiving touchdowns on the day. He had 5 total touchdowns. I mean, it was a crazy game. There's no doubt in my mind if Mixon plays the whole game, he breaks this record. If he maybe even plays another drive or two, he might have broke it. I mean, he was rolling. I think he played a drive or two in the third quarter and didn't play anymore. Mixon's stat lines for the game: 153 yards rushing with 4 rushing touchdowns, 4 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown. He had 5 total touchdowns. He keeps playing, he breaks 200, I'm pretty sure. He really crushed it this week and won a lot of people their leagues, including me. I have him in 2 leagues, won both of them. There's probably not many, if any, people that had him and lost. He's on bye week this week, which is much deserved after the performance he just put up. So if you have him, you need to be looking for a replacement this week. But there's nobody going to replace these numbers, which he's not going to do this week in and week out. But it's good to see. He's actually, production hasn't been what we really drafted him for this year, but maybe this will get him on a roll, and going forward, he'll get us some more yardage and more touchdowns like we're wanting. Number 2, Kenneth Walker III, guy I've been saying was the pickup of the year, league winner right here. Keeps producing. He got 26 rushing attempts. If he keeps getting those attempts, and Seattle, as long as they keep winning and staying in games, he's going to get these. He had 109 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches for 20 yards. I mean, he's a stud. In a keeper league, man, he's definitely going to help you out there. Number 3, this guy here has been tearing it up lately. Travis Etienne, 109 yards also 2 touchdowns. He had 2 catches for 17 yards. Man, ever since Robinson's been traded to the Jets, man, he's looked like a superstar. There's a reason they traded Robinson. It looked like they knew what they had. So, man, if you got him, you got to be happy about that. Number 4, Austin Eckler, 47 yards rushing with 1 touchdown, but where he really done his damage was 7 catches, 24 yards and a touchdown. Those 7 catches really helped you out. And then Derrick Henry, man, he keeps putting up numbers. 115 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. This guy, he just game in and game out. He had the slow start a couple of games early in the year. He didn't do what everybody thought, but, man, he is King Henry. And we'll go with overachievers. There were a few this week. Number 1, Kenyon Drake for Baltimore. 93 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches, 16 yards. Had a big game for Baltimore. Let's see, number 2. I'm going to go with Cordell Patterson. Coming off of IR, scored 2 touchdowns, had 44 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns and had a catch for 9. He came off IR, picked up right where he left off, and he said he's about 90%, so he's not even at 100%, which he looked pretty close. He didn't get the volume he was getting, before IR. I'm sure he'll get more and more each week, but they got a 3-headed monster at running back, so they're going to take carries away from him, which might keep him healthy. I mean, I don't, as much as they run the ball, I mean, they're a run-first team. They're not passing it much, so he's going to get enough volume to be a starter, at least a RB2. And his running mate, Tyler Algier, had a big game too. On 10 carries, he had 99 yards, one off of 100. He had one big catch for 24 yards. Didn't get a touchdown, but, I mean, I think you can just about start both of them with the volume. I would probably say Algier is more of a flex. If you have another running back that might be better, I'd probably start him. But, I mean, if you picked him off waivers, to start him, he's not a bad option. And I'm going to go with Jeff Wilson Jr. He was traded to Miami. People thought, Mostert's going to get all the carries. He's probably just going to be there as a backup mostly. They pretty much split carries down the middle with him and Mostert. Actually, I believe Wilson had exactly 50% of the touches. Actually, maybe a little more than Mostert. He had 51 yards rushing. He had 3 catches for 21 yards and a touchdown. So if Wilson, when he got traded, if you held on to him, you got to be pretty happy. He might get enough volume here. He traded to Miami to his old running backs coach, Mike McDaniels. He had him in San Francisco. He knew what he was about. Same thing with Mostert. He had him, brought both of them over from San Francisco, and he's going to use them. He knew what he got whenever he traded for him, and he stepped right in with a big role. Number 3, I'm going to go Michael Carter. They brought James Robinson in. Everybody thought he was going to be the workhorse there. Looked like they're splitting carries. Carter actually looks a little better. He had 12 carries for 76 yards and a touchdown. Also had a catch for 10. Robinson, 13, 48 yards. Didn't get the touchdown on the ground, but Robinson did get one, a receiving touchdown. So this is pretty much a split down the middle running back committee, and their Jets are going to run the ball. RB2 or flex probably for him. All right, now we'll go with duds. Number 1, KC running backs. Kansas City's running backs were horrible running the ball in this game, which might be the reason that Patrick Mahomes had 446 yards in the air. Pacheco, 5 rushes for 5 yards, 1 catch for 4. CEH, 4 rushes for 5 yards with 1 catch for 14. And Jerick McKinnon, which was the best out of these guys, 3 rushes, 4 yards, but he did have 6 catches for 40 yards. I mean, you can't start any of these guys, I don't think. They're going to be pretty much pass first team. I don't know. You don't know what to make of this running back situation. Number 2, Chicago's running backs. They didn't do much. Let's see. Montgomery, 7 for 23. Herbert, 14 for 36 with 1 catch for 8 yards. A lot of this was probably, I'd say that a lot of that might have to do with the way Fields played. But, if you get 14 carries, you're supposed to do more than 36 yards. So, Fields didn't have no problem running the ball. So I don't know. That situation is tough there too. And with Fields running the ball more, it's going to be hard to use these guys. Number 3, Deonta Foreman. After 2 big games, he kind of came back down to earth. 7 carries for 23 yards, 2 catches for -2 yards. Didn't do much at all. Carolina, this game they didn't look real good. I think better things are to come for this guy. I wouldn't write him off yet, but it was a pretty bad game for him. Next, I'm going to go the L.A. Rams running backs. Darrell Henderson, 12 for 56, no catches. Cam Akers actually got a little bit of work in here. He had 5 carries for 3 yards. I think you can forget about him doing anything. I mean, they finally put him in the game. He gets his chance, and he don't do anything with it. Michael Brown had a couple carries for 9 yards. So I think a lot of this might have to do with the offensive line there. But, man, those running backs are just horrible. And you got Kyron Williams. McVay said that today that Williams has a shot to play Sunday. If he's as good as the team thinks he might be, these 3 guys will probably be riding the pine behind him. It's hard for me to see anybody coming in behind this offensive line and doing a whole lot. They're big on him. I've got him, stashed on my R spot in a couple of leagues. I hope he ends up being pretty good. But I think if he comes out and does anything like they think, these other guys can just about be dropped. And then last, as for duds, I'm going to go Deion Jackson. I thought with Taylor out, he would have a little better game. 11 carries, 23 yards, 2 catches for 13. The quarterback situation wasn't real good. So I don't know. I think they expect Taylor to be back this week. But with the way the team is this year, not doing good, the coaching change, I would probably hang on to Deion Jackson if you have Taylor, because who knows if they keep losing and Taylor keeps being banged up, they might just sit him the rest of the year and you got a starter in Deion Jackson, even though it is a bad team. So I would just, if you have Taylor, you just about got to hold on to him. Next, we'll go to wide receivers. Number 1, Devontae Adams. After a bad week 8, he came back with a huge game. 10 catches, 146 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's the Devontae Adams that we know. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers would love to have him back right now. But he put up big numbers this week. Tyreek Hill, 7 catches, 143 yards, 1 touchdown. Also, his running mate there, Waddle, had 5 catches, 85, and a touchdown. Man, the best duo in NFL, got to be. They're making Tua look good. Number 3, Cooper Kupp. He just keeps delivering. No matter how bad the offensive line is, no matter how bad the team looks, he keeps putting up numbers. 8 catches, 127 yards, and a touchdown. He coming into the game with an ankle injury. You'd have never known it with the way he played. He might be the only Ram you can start right now. I guess because of the tight end situation we have, Higbee maybe, but he looks like the only one that's going to really do anything for you as far as a Ram. Number 4, Justin Jefferson, 7 catches, 115 yards, and a touchdown. This seems to be pretty much what you get out of him every week, which you got to be happy about that. Let's see. We'll go with overachievers next. Number 1, I'm going to go with Miko Hardman for KC. 6 catches, 79 yards, and a touchdown. You know, when your quarterback's throwing for 446 yards, you can expect a lot of big numbers from guys. You know, and Juju, I talked him up last week. This will make his third week. He's had pretty big games. He's getting the volume. He seems to be the number one wide receiver they're throwing to. Of course, Kelsey's the number one guy, but he's a tight end. Juju had 10 catches for 88 yards. He didn't get the touchdown, but he's getting the volume. He had 12 targets. If he's going to get double-digit targets, he's going to have some big games for you. Next, I'll go with Josh Palmer. I talked him up last week. He had 8 catches, 106 yards. He didn't have a touchdown, but he got the volume 10 times they throwed at him. As long as Mike Williams and Allen are out, or maybe even just one of them out, I mean, he's going to get the volume. He's looking for him. So, you know, that was a pretty good pickup. I mean, who knows about Keenan Allen? I mean, is he playing? Is he not playing? So you probably need to hang on to him. And I'll also go with Darryl Mooney. After a really slow start, this Chicago team seems to have offenses found something with Fields, and he got 7 catches, 43 yards, and a touchdown. So, you know, I've seen him on a lot of waivers. I'm sure he'll be picked up this week off a bunch. But if he's still there and you need a wide receiver, he'd definitely be worth a pickup. Let's see. We'll go with duds. Number 1, Drake London. I think you can drop him. I mean, Atlanta's a run-first team. He's not going to get the volume. He had 3 catches for 23 yards. Number 2, I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts wide receivers. Alec Pierce, 1 catch for 23 yards. And Michael Pittman Jr., man, he's not done what everybody was hoping he would this year. He had 3 catches for 22 yards. And a lot of that's quarterback play. You know, it's not been good. Number 3, Devonta Smith, 2 catches for 22 yards. It seems to be the A.J. Brown show. I'm surprised, that he's not been thrown to a little bit more. He was only thrown to twice. A lot of people thought he might have a big game last week. Didn't do much. Number 3, DJ Moore, 2 catches for 24. Same thing. A lot of people was big on DJ Moore coming into the week. But P.J. Walker's play didn't help him much. And for some reason, Baker Mayfield, when he plays, DJ Moore does nothing. So I don't understand that. But anyway, that is the way it is. And Gabe Davis, 2 catches for 33 yards. Man, he's just like we've talked about before, like Mike Davis. He's boomer bust. But, I mean, with the upside and with the quarterback throwing to him, you almost have to start him and just hope this is the week. Because he's going to have some good games, but it seems like he's having more bad than good. So I don't know. You might want to put somebody in there that you can, rely on a little more. But just as soon as you do that, he goes off and has a big game. That's a tough situation there. All right, so I guess we'll go to tight end next. Let's see where my tight ends are. Here we go. Tight ends for this week. Number 1 was Dallas Goedert. 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. He had a big game. He seemed to be who Hurts was looking for most of the game. Number 2, Cole Kmet. He came back from the dead. 5 catches, 41 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Hasn't done anything all year. Finally had a pretty good game, but that kind of goes back to this offense is kind of coming around. Maybe he can be picked up and started. We'll see. I'd like to see another week or two what happens with him, but that is a good sign. He is a good tight end. He had a pretty good year last year. Number 3, Travis Kelce, Mr. Reliable, Mr. Steady. You know what you get from him. 10 catches, 106 yards. He didn't have a touchdown, but he got you the catches. T.J. Hockenson, he fit right in with this Minnesota team. Captain Kirk was looking for him right off the bat. He had the most catches on the team. He was targeted the second most to Justin Jefferson. If he's getting this kind of volume, you got to be happy if you got TJ. And he was traded to the Minnesota Vikings. He had 9 catches, 70 yards. Didn't have a touchdown, but definitely got the volume. Touchdowns will come. And we'll go 5th is Zach Ertz, 5 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown. He's had us quietly having a pretty good year, Overachievers, number 1, going Cade Alton. 5 catches, 68 yards, and a touchdown for Tampa Bay. I mean, when your quarterback's throwing 58 times, you think if you're a tight end, you're going to get a little bit of that, and he did. Number 2 on Overachievers, Noah Fant, 5 catches for 96 yards. And 3rd on the list, Juwan Johnson. He had 2 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown. But that was most of that was on one long touchdown catch where it looked like the defender thought he had stepped out and kind of let him go, and he didn't, and he ran in for a touchdown. The only touchdown, I think, that New Orleans had in that game. And let's see. We'll go duds next. Let's see here. Well, the guy that's always on this list, Kyle Pitts. Seems like he makes it just about every week. 2 catches for 27 yards. I watched some of that game, and he had a couple of other catches or thrown to him, hit off his hands. They might have been not have been a perfect pass, but I mean, he probably could have caught them. I mean, if he catches those 2 that I'm talking about, he's got a different day. He ends up having a pretty decent game, but I mean, he was actually thrown to 7 times. He only caught 2 of them, so I don't know what to think about this guy. I mean, I thought he was going to come into the year just being a stud, and the offense don't help. They're going to run the ball. But you throw 7 times, you're expecting a little more than that. Taysom Hill, he had 1 attempt for 6 yards, no catches. Mike Gesicki, 1 catch for 3 yards. Tyler Conklin, 1 catch for 7. And I said last week, I didn't think, he had a good week last week that I didn't think he would do much this week. That was just kind of a one-time thing, I think. Evan Ingram, 1 catch for 8 yards. I actually thought he would have a better game. He'd been doing pretty good the last few weeks, but kind of laid an egg. And then I'll also throw in Dawson Knox. He was my set last week, 3 catches for 25. He's just kind of like I talked about. He's kind of going to be the odd man out in that offense. That looks like about all for the week. I'll be back next week with Week 10 to talk about it. And then we'll have our starts and sits and sleepers coming up in a couple days. So everybody, good luck this week, and maybe you'll win your games.
This ain't how it's supposed to be. It should be just you